12-year-old Maya Richardson had learned to read the world differently than most kids. While other children in Riverside, Oregon relied on the chaos of sound, laughter echoing through hallways, whispers behind cupped hands, the warning screech of bicycle brakes. Maya navigated life through observation. Her dark eyes caught everything: the slight curl of a lip that meant mockery, the shuffle of feet that signaled someone approaching from behind, the way sunlight glinted off chrome handlebars in the school bike rack. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. This particular Tuesday morning started like any other. Maya's mother, Linda, had kissed her forehead before work, signing "I love you" with practice fingers. Her older brother, Derek, had already left for high school on his sleek mountain bike, leaving Maya to ride alone on the route she'd memorized by heart. 3 blocks down Maple Street, left on Henderson Avenue, straight through the park where morning joggers panted past flower beds, then right onto School Road. Her bicycle was impossible to miss: a cotton candy pink beach cruiser with white wall tires, a wicker basket zip-tied to the handlebars, and rainbow streamers that caught the wind. It had been a birthday gift from her grandmother 2 years ago, back when Grandma Jean was still alive. The bike was old-fashioned, heavy, and completely impractical for a middle schooler in 2024. Maya knew this. She'd seen the sleek racing bikes, the BMX models with pegs for tricks, the electric scooters that her classmates rode. But this bike meant something. Every time she gripped those handlebars, she felt her grandmother's papery hands guiding hers. Remembered the afternoon they'd spent in the driveway, learning to balance. Grandma Jean's face beaming with pride, even though she couldn't hear Maya's squeals of delight. The bike wasn't just transportation. It was memory-made metal and rubber. The trouble started 3 weeks ago when Blake Morrison transferred to Riverside Middle School. Blake was 13 but looked 16, tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of angular features and confident smirk that made other kids instinctively step aside in hallways. He'd moved from somewhere in California, brought an attitude that said he'd seen bigger, better, and wasn't impressed by small-town Oregon. Within days, Blake had assembled his crew: Jackson Palmer, a stocky kid with a talent for cruel nicknames; Madison Pierce, whose beauty pageant smile disappeared the moment teachers turned their backs; and Tyler Chen, who filmed everything on his phone for his TikTok account that somehow had 50,000 followers. They'd noticed Maya immediately. Not because of her deafness. The school had several deaf and hard-of-hearing students integrated into classes. They noticed because she was different in a way that made her an easy target. She didn't react to verbal taunts because she couldn't hear them. She didn't flinch at sounds they made behind her back. This frustrated Blake, who was used to getting immediate reactions from his victims, so they focused on what Maya could see: mocking gestures, exaggerated faces, and worst of all, ridicule of her beloved pink bicycle. It started small. Blake would walk past the bike rack and pretend to gag. Madison would take selfies next to Maya's bike with captions like, "When your grandma picks out your ride." Tyler filmed a TikTok comparing Maya's bicycle to museum artifacts, set to trending audio that made it go viral among Riverside students. Maya saw all of it. She watched Blake's theatrical disgust, noticed Madison's phone angled for the perfect mean girl shot, caught Tyler's camera pointed at her bike. But she'd developed thick skin over the years. Being deaf in a hearing world meant constantly navigating misunderstandings, dealing with people who spoke too fast or didn't bother learning to sign, managing the isolation that came with being different. She could handle some immature kids making fun of her bicycle. What she couldn't handle was what happened on that Tuesday morning. Maya had locked her bike in the usual spot, 3rd rack from the entrance, right under the oak tree that provided afternoon shade. She'd bent down to secure the chain lock through the wheel when a shadow fell across her. Looking up, she found Blake standing there with his entire crew. Phones out, recording. Blake's mouth moved in exaggerated slow motion, forming words Maya had learned to lip-read with painful accuracy. Nice, bike, did, you, steal, it, from, a, circus. The others laughed. Maya could see their mouths open, heads thrown back, Madison doubling over. She stood slowly, signing with deliberate precision, knowing they wouldn't understand, but needing to respond. "Leave me alone." Blake mimicked her hand movements with jerky, mocking gestures, his face twisted in fake confusion. Jackson stepped forward and kicked Maya's front tire, sending the bike toppling sideways. The wicker basket hit concrete with a crack that Maya felt through the vibration in the ground. Her grandmother's basket split down the middle. Something hot and sharp bloomed in Maya's chest. Not quite anger, not quite tears, but something between them. She knelt quickly, trying to assess the damage, fingers running over the fractured wicker. Behind her, she sensed rather than saw the continued mockery. The phones still recording, the crowd of students that had gathered to watch. Then Blake did something that crossed a line Maya didn't know existed. He grabbed her backpack and dumped its contents across the asphalt. Textbooks, notebooks, her pencil case, but most devastating, the small framed photo of Grandma Jean she carried everywhere tumbled out. The glass cracked when it hit the ground. Maya's hands trembled as she reached for the photo. In it, Grandma Jean stood beside the pink bicycle on Maya's 10th birthday, both of them grinning at the camera. Now a jagged line split right through her grandmother's face. She looked up at Blake with eyes that had gone from cautious to something harder. Her hands moved in rapid signs, angry, precise gestures that needed no translation. "The universal language of 'you've gone too far.'" Blake laughed and signed back with crude, incorrect gestures he'd probably seen in a movie. His crew howled with laughter. That's when Maya heard it, not with her ears. She'd been profoundly deaf since birth due to a genetic condition that no hearing aid or cochlear implant could fix. But she felt it, a deep, rhythmic vibration traveling through the asphalt, through the metal of the bike rack, through the ground beneath her sneakers. A rumble that grew stronger, accompanied by vibrations so powerful they made her ribcage resonate. The other students felt it too. She watched their expressions shift from amusement to curiosity to something that looked like concern. Blake's smug grin faltered. Madison's phone slowly lowered. Even Tyler stopped recording. The rumble grew into a roar that Maya could feel in her bones. She turned toward the street and saw them. Motorcycles. Not just one or two, but at least 20, rolling down School Road in a V formation that looked almost military. Chrome gleamed in the morning sun. Leather jackets caught the light. And on those jackets, even from a distance, Maya could see the distinctive patches, a winged skull, flames, and words she'd recognize anywhere. Hell's Angels. The motorcycles pulled up to the curb in front of Riverside Middle School, engines cutting off in sequence, but the vibrations still echoing through Maya's chest. Kickstands went down. Riders dismounted. And leading them was a man who looked like he'd stepped out of every parent's nightmare, 6'4", broad as a refrigerator, arms sleeved in tattoos, grey beard reaching mid-chest, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. Blake had gone pale. His crew had actually stepped backward. The gathered students were frozen, uncertain whether to run or stay. The big man walked straight toward the bike rack, straight toward Maya, and then, to everyone's absolute shock, he smiled. The man everyone would soon know as Bear removed his sunglasses, revealing eyes that were surprisingly gentle for someone who looked like he could bench press a Harley. He glanced at the scattered contents of Maya's backpack, the toppled pink bicycle, the cracked photo frame still clutched in her hands, then back at the group of kids who suddenly looked very small. Bear crouched down, not an easy feat for someone his size, bringing himself to Maya's eye level. His hands moved with unexpected fluidity, fingers forming shapes Maya recognized immediately. He was signing, "Are you okay?" His hands asked in perfect American Sign Language. Maya blinked, momentarily forgetting about Blake, the broken basket, everything. A Hell's Angel signing to her. Her hands responded almost automatically. "My bike." They broke it. Bear's jaw tightened. He stood, turning to face Blake and his crew with an expression that made grown men in biker bars think twice about starting trouble. Blake had the look of someone who'd just realized he'd picked the wrong day to be a bully. "Which one of you did this?" Bear's voice rumbled like distant thunder. The question hung in the air, met with silence. Behind him, the other bikers had formed a semicircle. Maya noticed things she wouldn't have expected. A woman with silver hair in a long braid, patches on her jacket indicating she was a veteran. A younger guy, maybe mid-20s, with a prosthetic leg visible below his jeans. An older black man whose jacket declared him road captain, whatever that meant. These weren't the cartoon villains from TV shows. They were real people who just happened to ride motorcycles and wear intimidating leather. I asked a question. Bear's voice dropped lower, somehow more menacing for its quietness. Jackson, the stocky kid who'd kicked Maya's tire, raised a trembling hand. It was. We were just messing around. We didn't mean what? The silver-haired woman stepped forward. Her nameplate read Diesel. Didn't mean to destroy someone's property? Didn't mean to mock a kid for being different? Which part didn't you mean? Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Madison had tears streaming down her face, the kind of tears that came from genuine fear rather than manipulation. Tyler's phone was nowhere to be seen, probably shoved deep in his pocket. Blake looked like he might actually be sick. Bear turned back to Maya, his expression softening instantly. His hands moved again. That bike means something to you. Maya nodded, then signed back. My grandmother gave it to me. She died last year. Something flickered across Bear's weathered face. He nodded slowly, then signed. My daughter was deaf. She would have been about your age. Would have been. Past tense. Maya's chest tightened with understanding. Bear straightened and walked over to examine the bicycle more closely. He ran his massive hands over the frame, checked the wheels, inspected the cracked basket with the careful attention of someone who understood that objects could carry memories too heavy to measure. Frames solid. Wheels are true. Baskets damaged but fixable. He looked at his crew. Wrench, what do you think? A lean man with grease permanently embedded under his fingernails stepped forward, pulling a multi-tool from his belt. He knelt beside the bike, examining it with professional efficiency. She needs new handlebar grips, could use fresh cables, and that basket's gonna need some creative repair. But yeah, we can work with this. Good. Bear turned back to Blake and his friends. Here's what's going to happen. You four are going to apologize to this young lady. A real apology, not whatever garbage you were planning to mumble. Then you're going to explain to your principal exactly what you did and why. But we'll get suspended, Madison started. You should be expelled, Diesel cut in sharply. Count yourself lucky if suspension's all you get, the road captain spoke up, his voice carrying the weight of authority. And if we hear about any retaliation, any continued bullying, any problems for this girl at all. He let the sentence hang, unfinished but perfectly clear. Blake's apology came out strangled and awkward, but his eyes held something that might have been genuine shame. Jackson couldn't meet Maya's gaze as he signed sorry with clumsy, unpracticed fingers. Someone had clearly taught him the basics at some point. Madison was still crying, her carefully constructed mean girl persona shattered. Tyler mumbled something while staring at his shoes. Maya accepted their apologies with a slight nod, not because she forgave them. Forgiveness would take time, but because she wanted this moment to end so she could process what was happening. Bear's hand landed gently on her shoulder. When she looked up, he was smiling again, this time with warmth that crinkled the corners of his eyes. His hands moved. We're going to fix your bike. Better than new. And we're going to make sure nobody bothers you about it again. Why? Maya signed back. Why are you helping me? Bear's expression grew distant for a moment, as if looking at something only he could see. Then his hands moved with careful deliberation. My daughter Sarah loved to ride her bike, pink with purple flowers. She rode it everywhere, even when kids teased her about how she talked, how she sounded different because she couldn't hear herself. I always told her to be proud of who she was, to never let anyone make her feel small. He paused, and Maya saw his jaw work, as if he was chewing words too difficult to swallow. She was riding that bike when a drunk driver ran a red light. 8 years ago next month. She was 11. The morning air felt suddenly colder. Maya's hands trembled as she signed. "I'm so sorry." Bear shook his head. "Not your fault, kiddo. But seeing you standing here with your grandmother's bike, some punk kid's giving you grief just for being different. Couldn't just ride past. Sarah would have kicked my ass if I did." Behind them, Wrench had already started working on the bicycle with tools that seemed to materialize from various pockets and saddlebags. The woman with the prosthetic leg, her jacket identified her as Spark, was carefully collecting the wicker pieces from the basket, laying them out on a clean cloth like archaeological artifacts. "We've got a sister chapter member who does custom basket work," Spark explained, though Maya couldn't hear her. Bear translated into sign. "She can weave you a new one, stronger than the original. We'll have it ready by Friday." "I don't have money to pay you," Maya signed. Bear's laugh was silent, but visible in the shake of his shoulders. "Kid, we don't want your money. Consider this community service. The fun kind." The bell rang inside the school, though Maya only knew because she saw students start moving toward the building. Bear noticed her glance and checked his watch. "You're going to be late for class," he signed. "Don't worry about the bike. We'll lock it up secure when we're done with initial assessment. Here's my number." He pulled out a card. Actual business cards, Maya noticed with surprise, with his name, Brian Bear Davidson, a phone number, and an email address. "That's my cell. Text me any time if anyone gives you trouble. Anyone. I mean it." Maya took the card, still somewhat dazed by the surreal turn her morning had taken. From humiliation to this, whatever this was. One more thing. Bear reached into his saddlebag and pulled out a helmet. Not just any helmet. A custom-painted piece with pink and purple swirls, shooting stars, and along the side, in perfect script, "Ride proud." He held it out to Maya, and this time his hands didn't need to sign. The gesture said everything. Maya took the helmet, feeling its solid weight, running her fingers over the smooth, custom paintwork. When she looked up at Bear, her eyes were wet, but she was smiling, really smiling. The kind of smile that came from somewhere deep and genuine. "Thank you," she signed. Bear nodded, then tapped his temple and pointed at her, a gesture that transcended language. "You've got this." As Maya walked toward the school building, helmet under her arm and Bear's card in her pocket, she turned back once. The Hells Angels were still there, a protective wall of leather and chrome around her grandmother's pink bicycle. The bear caught her looking and waved, for the first time in 3 weeks. Maya felt something she'd almost forgotten. Safe. Maya spent her entire first-period English class unable to concentrate on the vocabulary quiz in front of her. The words blurred together as her mind kept replaying the morning's events. Bear's gentle, signing hands, the fierce protection of the biker crew, the weight of the custom helmet now sitting in her locker. Her interpreter, Mrs. Cardenas, noticed her distraction and signed a gentle question. "Everything okay?" Maya nodded, not ready to explain what had happened. How could she? "A bunch of Hell's Angels showed up and defended me from bullies." Sounded like something from a movie. Not real life in small-town Oregon, but by lunchtime, the entire school knew. Tyler's TikTok followers had gotten their content after all, just not the kind Tyler had planned. Someone had filmed the whole encounter from a second-story classroom window. The video was grainy, shot through glass, but clear enough. Blake and his crew surrounding Maya's fallen bike. The dramatic arrival of 20 motorcycles. Bear crouching down to sign with Maya. The bullies' obvious terror, and the moment Bear handed Maya the helmet, the video had already hit 200,000 views and was climbing. Maya discovered this when she entered the cafeteria, and every conversation seemed to pause. Heads turned, phones appeared. Not to mock her this time, but to show their owners' screens to friends, pointing between the video and Maya herself as if confirming she was really the girl from the viral clip. She collected her lunch tray. Tuesday meant questionable pizza and slightly bruised apple, and headed for her usual table in the corner. This was the quiet table, where the deaf and hard of hearing students typically sat, along with a few hearing kids who'd learned ASL and preferred the visual conversation. Today, Her table wasn't empty. Sitting there, looking deeply uncomfortable, was Blake Morrison. Maya stopped short, tray trembling slightly in her hands. Her friend Carmen, a junior who'd been deaf since a childhood illness, immediately positioned herself between Maya and Blake, signing with sharp, angry gestures. "What is he doing here?" Blake held up his hands in surrender, then pulled out his phone. He typed a message in the Notes app, holding it up for Maya to read. "I know you have no reason to listen to me. I know sorry isn't enough. But I wanted you to know that Jackson, Madison, Tyler, and I just spent an hour in the principal's office. We told them everything. We're suspended for 2 weeks. My dad is making me do community service. And I wanted to say that what I did was wrong. Not just wrong, cruel. I took something that mattered to you, and I treated it like a joke. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I see what I did now." Maya read the message twice. Carmen was still signing aggressive questions, asking if Blake needed to be escorted out. Other students at nearby tables were watching, phones ready to capture whatever happened next. Maya set down her tray and pulled out her own phone, typing slowly. "Why did you do it?" "Why me?" Blake read her question and winced. He typed back, "Honest answer. Because you seemed like an easy target. You didn't react to verbal stuff, so it felt like, I don't know, like it didn't hurt you, which I know now is the stupidest thing I've ever thought. When those bikers showed up and I saw how scared you looked holding that broken picture frame, I realized you felt everything. I just couldn't hear you hurting. That's on me. It wasn't a perfect apology. It didn't undo the 3 weeks of torment or fix her grandmother's cracked photograph. But it was something Maya hadn't expected. Actual self-awareness. She typed, 2 weeks suspension isn't enough." Blake nodded, typing, "I know. That's why I'm also quitting the basketball team. Coach said I could stay if I wanted, but I don't deserve to represent the school right now. And I'm going to learn ASL, real ASL, not the garbage I was doing this morning. Miss Cardenas said she'd tutor me if I was serious." Maya studied his face, looking for the smirk, the superiority, the cruelty that had defined him for weeks. She didn't find it. Instead, she saw something that looked like genuine shame mixed with determination. She typed, "Actions matter more than words." "I know," Blake typed back. "I'll prove it, however long it takes." He stood, gave an awkward nod, and left the cafeteria. Carmen immediately launched into a signed tirade about whether he could be trusted, but Maya was already thinking about something else. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hey kiddo, it's Bear. Bike's looking good. Wrench says she'll ride smoother than ever. How's your day going? Anyone giving you trouble?" Maya smiled and typed back, "Day got weird. The video went viral. Everyone's being nice? It's strange." 3 dots appeared, then nice is good. Strange nice is still nice? You deserve nice. Update, Spark found a vintage wicker that matches your original basket. Working her magic now. You free Friday after school? Want to do the unveiling proper? I'll be there. Where? Chrome and Coffee on Industrial Ave. It's our clubhouse. Don't worry, it's legit. We even have a sign and everything. Bring your mom if it makes her more comfortable. Maya hadn't considered how her mother would react to all this. Linda Richardson was protective, understandably so, given Maya's vulnerabilities in a hearing world. The idea of her daughter hanging around a Hells Angels clubhouse would probably trigger immediate panic. But then again, these weren't the Hells Angels from movies or crime documentaries. These were people who'd stopped everything to help a bullied kid, who'd carefully collected broken wicker pieces like they were precious artifacts, who'd given her a custom helmet with "Ride Proud" painted on the side. The rest of lunch period passed in a blur of curious questions from classmates who'd never spoken to Maya before. Most were genuine, asking if she was okay, complimenting the helmet they'd seen in the video, expressing outrage at what Blake's crew had done. A few were clout chasers, hoping to appear in the next viral video. Maya learned quickly to distinguish between the two. Her afternoon classes were equally surreal. Teachers who'd barely acknowledged her existence now made extra effort to ensure she could see them clearly when they spoke. that Mrs. Cardenas had good sightlines for interpreting. Mr. Patterson, her history teacher, even pulled her aside after class. "Maya," he said, speaking slowly and clearly so she could read his lips while Mrs. Cardenas signed, "I wanted to apologize. I saw that video and I realized I've been teaching here for 15 years and I never learned to sign. Not even basics. That's on me. I'm enrolling in an ASL course at the community college this semester." Maya nodded, not quite sure what to say. The morning had started with her bike being vandalized and her grandmother's photo being broken. Now her history teacher was apologizing for not learning sign language. By the time final bell rang, Maya's head was spinning. She walked to her locker, retrieved the helmet, and headed outside where her brother Derek was supposed to pick her up. Her bike was still with Wrench and the crew. Derek's mountain bike was already there, but he wasn't alone. Standing with him were 4 other high school kids, all wearing jackets that identified them as members of various school clubs. One girl had a varsity letter, "Maya." Derek signed when he saw her, his expression a mix of pride and concern. "Everyone's talking about what happened. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Maya signed back. "It's been the weirdest day of my life." The varsity letter girl stepped forward, signing with practiced fluency. "I'm Jordan Hale. I'm president of the student council at the high school. We saw the video. We want to organize an anti-bullying assembly, and we'd love for you to speak." "Share your story," Maya blinked. "Speak? I don't speak. I sign." "That's what we want," another kid signed. "Show everyone that deaf students have voices too. They're just visual instead of audible. We'd have interpreters, obviously, and we'd make it a district-wide thing. Middle school and high school." "I don't know," Maya started. "You don't have to decide now," Jordan signed. "Think about it. Here's my number, but Maya, what happened to you happens to a lot of kids. Maybe not the Hells Angels rescue part." She grinned. "But the bullying, the isolation, being targeted for being different. You've got a platform now, whether you wanted it or not. You could use it." Derek rode slowly on the way home, staying beside Maya on his bike while she walked. He kept glancing at her, clearly wanting to say something. Finally, his hands moved. "Those bikers, they seemed like good people. In the video, I mean. The big guy signing with you, that was pretty amazing." "His daughter was deaf," Maya signed. "She died. That's why he stopped." Derek's expression softened with understanding. They rode the rest of the way in comfortable silence. The kind only siblings who'd grown up signing could share. Communication that didn't always need words or hands, just presence. When they got home, their mother's car was already in the driveway. That was unusual. Linda didn't normally finish her shift at the hospital until 6. They found her in the kitchen, laptop open, playing and replaying the video that had taken over Maya's life. When she saw them, Linda's eyes were wet. "Maya," she signed, pulling her daughter into a fierce hug. "Baby, are you okay?" "I saw the video." "I called the school. They told me about the suspension, about the bikers, about everything." "Why didn't you call me?" "It just happened, Mom. I didn't even process it until lunch." Linda held Maya at arm's length, studying her face the way only mothers can. Then her hands moved with firm decision. "We're going to talk about this, all of it. And I want to meet these bikers who helped you, properly." Maya pulled out her phone and showed her mother Bear's texts. The invitation to the clubhouse on Friday. Linda read them slowly, her expression cycling through concern, curiosity, and finally, something that might have been cautious approval. "Chrome and coffee?" "I know that place. They sponsor the veterans' motorcycle ride every Memorial Day. Raised $20,000 last year for PTSD programs. So we can go?" Maya signed hopefully. "We can go," Linda confirmed. "But I'm coming with you, and probably calling your brother too." "Safety in numbers." Maya rolled her eyes but smiled. Her mother's protectiveness came from love. She understood that, even when it felt suffocating that night. As Maya lay in bed scrolling through comments on the viral video, she found hundreds of messages from deaf kids across the country, across the world, sharing their own bullying stories, thanking her for being visible, telling her to ride proud just like her helmet said. One comment stood out. From a user named Sarah's Legacy 47. Bear is my uncle. Sarah was my cousin. She would have loved you. Thank you for giving my uncle a reason to smile again. He hasn't been the same since we lost her. Seeing him sign with you in that video, that's the man I remember from before the accident. You gave us a gift today too. Maya read the comment 3 times, feeling tears slip down her cheeks. Tomorrow, she'd have to figure out whether to speak at that assembly, deal with returning to school, knowing everyone had seen her worst moment, and process the bizarre reality of having Hell's Angels as guardian angels. But tonight, she let herself feel what she hadn't allowed herself to feel in 3 weeks of relentless bullying. Hope. Friday afternoon arrived with unseasonably warm weather, the kind of October day that felt like summer's last apology before winter settled in. Maya sat in the passenger seat of her mother's sedan, the custom helmet resting in her lap, watching Industrial Avenue roll past the window. This part of Riverside was older, warehouses converted into microbreweries, former factories now housing artist studios, and tucked between a vintage furniture shop and a motorcycle repair garage. A building with a hand-painted sign, Chrome and Coffee, Ride Safe. Drink strong. Linda pulled into the parking lot, and Maya immediately spotted the motorcycles. At least 15 of them, lined up with military precision, chrome gleaming in the afternoon sun. Derek pulled up beside them on his mountain bike, having insisted on riding over separately because someone needs to help Maya ride her bike home, Mom. The clubhouse itself was nothing like Maya had imagined. Instead of a dark, intimidating space, it looked almost cozy. Large windows let in natural light. Planters with surprisingly healthy flowers flanked the entrance. A chalkboard sign announced Friday open house, all welcome. Bear emerged before they'd even gotten out of the car, his massive frame somehow less intimidating in the daylight. He'd swapped his leather jacket for a simple black t-shirt that read Sarah's Dad, with a small butterfly design. When he saw Linda's nervous expression, he immediately smiled and extended his hand. Mrs. Richardson. I'm Brian Davidson. Everyone calls me Bear. This must be Derek. He shook Derek's hand with careful restraint, clearly aware of his own strength. Then he turned to Maya, his hands already moving in sign. Ready to see a ride? Maya nodded, clutching the helmet tighter. Come on in, Bear gestured. We've got the whole crew here. They're excited to meet you properly. The inside of Chrome and Coffee was even more surprising than the exterior. One half was clearly a clubhouse. Worn leather couches, a bar stocked with coffee equipment instead of alcohol, walls covered in riding photos and memorial patches for fallen members. The other half was a workshop, and there, mounted on a custom stand like a piece of art, was her grandmother's bicycle. Maya's breath caught. It wasn't just repaired. It was transformed. The pink frame had been cleaned until it gleamed, every speck of rust removed. New handlebar grips in cream-colored leather matched the restored seat. The chrome had been polished to mirror brightness. The wheels sported fresh white-wall tires that somehow looked both vintage and brand new. And the basket was a masterpiece. Spark stood beside it, grinning with pride. The wicker had been completely rewoven in a pattern that incorporated the original pieces. Maya could see them integrated throughout, darker strands among the newer material, like memories woven into the present. But the design was stronger now, reinforced with a subtle wire frame that would prevent future cracking. We saved every piece we could from your grandmother's original basket. Spark signed. Maya was surprised to see another crew member who knew ASL. See these darker strands here, here, and here? That's all her. The rest is new, but we matched the pattern exactly. This basket will outlast all of us. Maya approached slowly, running her fingers over the woven surface, feeling where old Met knew. Her eyes were wet, but she was smiling. There's more, Wrench said, and Mrs. Cardenas, who'd apparently been invited to interpret, signed his words. Check the frame. Left side, near the seat post. Maya looked where he indicated and found a small metal plate. Professionally engraved, Jean's Legacy, Ride Proud, 2024. We figured every bike this special deserves a name, Diesel explained, stepping forward with a steaming mug of coffee that she offered to Linda. Jean's Legacy seemed right. Plus, it makes it officially custom. Anyone tries to steal or damage this bike, they're messing with a documented custom build. We've got photos, serial numbers, the whole thing registered. Linda accepted the coffee with trembling hands, her own eyes now matching Maya's. You didn't have to do all this. The repairs would have been enough. Ma'am, with respect, we did exactly what needed doing. The road captain, whose real name was Marcus Washington, interrupted gently. Your daughter was targeted for being different, for having something that mattered to her. We sent a message that maybe this community could be better than that. Derek was circling the bike with the appreciation of a fellow cyclist. These are Schwalbe tires. These are like $70 a tire. And this saddle is Brooks leather. This is serious gear. Kid knows his stuff, Wrench said approvingly. We don't half-ass things here. If we're fixing a bike, we fix it right. Bear crouched beside Maya again. Want to take it for a spin? We've got a route mapped out through the park. Nice and flat, easy riding. We'll escort you. Escort? Linda asked, concern creeping into her voice. We ride behind, make sure she's safe, make sure the bike's handling well, Marcus explained. Think of it as a test drive with backup support. Very boring, very responsible. Can we go, Mom? Maya signed, then remembered to include Derek in the question. All of us? Linda looked at her daughter's hopeful face, at the bike that had been restored with obvious love and skill, at these intimidating-looking people who'd shown nothing but kindness. She sighed in the way that meant, yes, but I'm worried. All right. But I'm following in the car. Wouldn't have it any other way, Bear said warmly. 10 minutes later, Maya rolled out of the parking lot on Jean's Legacy, feeling the smooth glide of new components. The comfortable grip of leather handlebars. The helmet, her helmet, fit perfectly, the Ride Proud visible in her peripheral vision like a constant reminder. Behind her, 7 motorcycles rumbled to life. Not the full 20 from Tuesday's dramatic rescue, but enough to make her feel like she was leading a parade. Bear rode directly behind her, maintaining a careful distance. Diesel and Spark flanked her on either side, but far enough back to give her space. Marcus and Wrench brought up the rear. Derek rode beside the formation on his mountain bike, grinning like this was the coolest thing that had ever happened to him. Linda followed in her sedan, probably having a minor anxiety attack, but trusting anyway. The route took them through Riverside Park, along the path where joggers and dog walkers paused to watch the unusual procession. A 12-year-old girl on a pink vintage cruiser, surrounded by Hell's Angels, like the world's most unlikely security detail. Maya felt the vibration of the motorcycles through the air, a constant reassuring rumble that said, "We've got your back." People pointed. Some pulled out phones, and she knew this would probably go viral too. But this time she didn't care. This time she wasn't the target of mockery. She was part of something bigger. They reached the pavilion where her grandmother used to buy them ice cream, the same pavilion where Maya had learned to ride without training wheels, where Jean had run beside her shouting encouragement Maya couldn't hear, but could feel in the pressure of her grandmother's hand on her back. Bear signaled for a stop. The motorcycles pulled into formation in the parking area, engines cutting off one by one. Maya dismounted, and suddenly the entire crew was gathering around, not crowding her, but forming a loose circle. Bear's hands moved. How does she ride? Perfect, Maya signed back. Better than new. Thank you. All of you. Speaking of thank yous, Diesel stepped forward carrying a bag. We've got something else for you. From the bag, she pulled a leather jacket, clearly custom-made, sized for Maya's frame. It was deep purple instead of black, with careful detailing that made it age-appropriate. On the back, embroidered in silver thread, was a butterfly design with Ride Proud underneath. You're not a member, Marcus clarified quickly, seeing Linda's alarm. This isn't a club jacket. But you're under our protection. Anyone in the motorcycle community sees this, they'll know you've got people who care about you. Plus, he grinned, purple is definitely your color. Maya slipped on the jacket. It fit perfectly, the leather soft and worn in, clearly not new but broken in with care. She realized it must have belonged to someone else once. Bear's expression confirmed her guess before his hands moved. It was Sarah's. I've been keeping it in my closet for 8 years. Couldn't bring myself to give it away. But she'd want someone to wear it, someone who'd appreciate it. Someone like you. The weight of that gift, the trust it represented, made Maya's throat tight. She signed slowly, precisely. I'll take care of it. I promise. I know you will, kiddo. Spark was taking photos with a professional camera, capturing Maya in the jacket, sitting on the restored bike, surrounded by the crew. These are for you, she explained through Mrs. Cardenas, for your memory book, or whatever kids do with photos these days. TikTok, Instagram? I'm old, I don't know. I'm going to frame one, Maya decided. Put it next to the picture of my grandmother. Derek was deep in conversation with Wrench about motorcycle maintenance, getting a detailed explanation of engine types that went completely over Maya's head, but had her brother nodding enthusiastically. Linda was talking with Marcus and Diesel, and from their body language, Maya could tell they were discussing something serious, probably safety protocols, and how to contact them if there were problems. Bear sat down on a nearby bench and Maya joined him. His hands moved thoughtfully. You know that student council president who wants you to speak at the assembly? Maya nodded, surprised he knew about that. Small town. Word travels, especially when it involves viral videos and Hell's Angels. He smiled. You should do it, speak or sign, I guess. Share your story. I don't know what to say, Maya signed. I'm not good at big crowds. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to be honest. Tell them what it feels like to be treated like you're less than human because you communicate differently. Tell them about your grandmother's bike and why it matters. Tell them that being different isn't a weakness. It's just being you. Did Sarah do things like that?
Speak to people.
Bear's hands stilled for a moment, then moved slowly. Sarah was shy. She never got the chance to find her voice, her confidence. She was still figuring out who she was when we lost her. But I think if she'd had more time, if she'd met people like our crew who didn't see her deafness as a limitation, I think she would have. I think she would have been brave like you. I'm not brave. I was terrified on Tuesday. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and still getting up, still facing the day, still believing things can be better. You've been doing that for weeks while those kids tormented you. That's brave. Maya considered this, watching her mother laugh at something Diesel had said. Derek was now sitting on Wrench's motorcycle, pretending to rev the engine. The scene was so normal, so comfortable, that it was easy to forget these were the same people who'd terrified Blake into genuine remorse just 3 days ago. Okay, Maya signed. I'll do it. The assembly. But only if you come. Bear raised an eyebrow. Me? And anyone else from the crew who wants to. You're part of the story. You showed me that people who look scary can be kind, that strangers can become protectors. That's important too. Bear's smile was soft, touched with something that might have been pride or grief or hope. Maybe all three. We'll be there. Front row! As the sun started to dip toward the horizon, casting golden light across the park, Maya took one more ride on Jean's legacy. This time just her, no escort, no cameras, no audience. Just a girl and her grandmother's bike, riding through autumn air, feeling the vibrations of memory and present combined. When she circled back to the pavilion, her family and her new, unlikely friends were waiting. Bear held up a thermos of hot chocolate. Apparently chrome and coffee wasn't just about actual coffee, and they all stood around talking and signing and laughing. Maya pulled out her phone and took a selfie. Her in Sarah's purple jacket, Jean's legacy visible behind her, surrounded by her brother, her mother, and 7 leather-clad bikers who'd decided that protecting one bullied kid mattered more than their scary reputation. She posted it with a simple caption, "Found my people, riding proud." By the time she got home that evening, the post had 50,000 likes and hundreds of comments from people sharing their own stories of unexpected kindness, of strangers who'd stood up for them, of finding strength in communities they never expected to join. The video of her riding through the park with the motorcycle escort had already been picked up by local news stations. Her phone was full of interview requests, but what mattered most was the text from Bear sent after they'd all said goodbye. "Sarah would have liked you. Thanks for giving an old biker hope again. Ride safe, kiddo." Maya saved the message, then walked to her room where she'd already cleared a space on her wall. She hung Sarah's jacket carefully on a hook, positioned the new helmet on her shelf, and placed Bear's business card in her grandmother's jewelry box, alongside Jean's wedding ring and the repaired photograph. Outside her window, she could see Jean's legacy locked safely in the garage. Gleaming even in the dim light, Maya smiled and signed to herself. To her grandmother's memory, to Sarah's spirit, to whatever force had brought 20 motorcycles roaring into her life at exactly the right moment. Thank you. The district assembly took place on a grey November morning, 3 weeks after the viral video had turned Maya's life upside down. The combined auditorium held over 800 middle and high school students, their chatter creating a buzz Maya could feel through the floor vibrations. Backstage, she stood in Sarah's purple jacket, her hands trembling slightly. Jordan Hale placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've got this. Just tell your truth." Through the curtain gap, Maya could see the front row. True to his word, Bear sat there with Diesel, Marcus, Spark, and Wrench. They'd cleaned up, button-down shirts instead of leather, but their presence was unmistakable. Several students kept glancing their way with curiosity and respect. Principal Andrews finished his introduction, and suddenly Maya was walking onto the stage. Mrs. Cardenas beside her to voice-interpret her signing for the hearing students. A large screen behind them would project Maya's hands so everyone could see clearly. Maya took a breath and began signing. 3 weeks ago, I thought I knew what being different meant. I'm deaf. I've always been deaf. I communicate with my hands instead of my voice. Most days that's just my normal. She paused, gathering courage. But some people decided my normal was something to mock. They targeted my grandmother's bicycle, a pink vintage cruiser that meant everything to me because it was the last gift she gave me before she died. They kicked it over, broke the basket, destroyed a photograph I carried every day. The auditorium had gone completely silent. I thought I was alone. I thought nobody cared that I was being bullied because I couldn't hear their laughter anyway. I was wrong. Maya gestured to the front row. These people, strangers who happened to ride motorcycles, saw what was happening and refused to ignore it. They didn't know me. They had no reason to stop, but they did, because they understood something important. Community means protecting people who need protection. Standing up when it's easier to ride past, Bear nodded, his eyes bright. The leader, Bear, had a daughter named Sarah who was deaf like me. She died 8 years ago. He told me she would have wanted him to help, so he did. His crew restored my grandmother's bike better than new. They gave me a helmet that says "Ride Proud." They showed me that different people who look scary, people who seem like they have nothing in common, can choose kindness. Maya's hands moved with increasing confidence. This jacket I'm wearing belonged to Sarah. Bear kept it for 8 years because letting go was too painful. But he gave it to me because he knew she'd want someone to wear it, to carry her memory forward by refusing to hide who they are. She turned to face the full auditorium. I'm not here to tell you bullying is bad. You already know that. I'm here to tell you that every single person you see is carrying something precious. Maybe it's a grandmother's bicycle. Maybe it's a deceased daughter's memory. Maybe it's just the simple wish to exist without being mocked for being different. Before you laugh at someone's bike, their clothes, their voice, the way they communicate, ask yourself, what are you really attacking? Because it's never just a bike. It's never just different. It's someone's heart. Maya's final signs were slow, deliberate. We all have a choice. We can be the people who kick over bikes, or we can be the people who help repair them. We can mock differences, or we can protect them. We can ride past, or we can stop and hand someone a helmet. The auditorium erupted. Not polite assembly applause, but genuine, thunderous appreciation. Students rose to their feet. Maya saw Blake in the third row clapping hard, tears on his face. She saw Carmen and her deaf friends signing enthusiastic praise. She saw teachers wiping their eyes, but mostly she saw Bear standing and signing clearly so she could see. Sarah would be so proud. I'm so proud. After the assembly, students lined up to talk to Maya, to learn basic signs, to share their own stories of being different. The Hells Angels crew stayed for hours, answering questions about motorcycle safety, community service, and how they'd learned ASL. Wrench ended up teaching an impromptu lesson on bike maintenance. Diesel talked to a group of girls about standing up to harassment. Marcus discussed veterans programs with the school counselor. As the crowd finally thinned, Jordan approached Maya with a tablet. You've gotten 300 emails in the last hour. Other schools want you to speak. Youth organizations, advocacy groups. Maya, you've started something. Maya looked at Bear, uncertain. His hands moved gently, only if you want to. No pressure. But if you do want to keep sharing Sarah's story and yours, we'll back you up. Every speech, every event, you've got your crew now. That evening, Maya rode Jean's legacy home through light rain, Sarah's jacket keeping her warm, the ride-proud helmet reflecting streetlights. Derek rode beside her, no longer on his mountain bike, but on a vintage 10-speed Wrench had helped him restore, a project they'd bonded over. Their mother watched from the car, still protective but learning to trust. Maya thought about Sarah, about Jean, about all the people who'd shaped who she was. She thought about Blake, genuinely working to be better. She thought about strangers who'd become family because they chose kindness over convenience. At home, she hung Sarah's jacket carefully beside a new addition, a framed photo from the assembly showing her mid-sign. Bear and his crew visible in the background. The Ride Proud message clear on the screen behind her. Her phone buzzed with a final text from Bear, heading out on a long ride tomorrow. Wyoming to scatter some of Sarah's ashes at her favorite lookout point. Been putting it off for years. You gave me the strength to let her rest. Thank you, kiddo. Keep riding proud. You're changing the world, one bike at a time. Maya typed back, say hi to her from me. Tell her I'm taking care of her jacket. And thank you for everything. She walked to her window, looking out at Jean's legacy gleaming in the garage. Tomorrow she'd ride it to school. Next week, she'd speak at another assembly in a neighboring district. Next month, who knew? But tonight, she was just Maya Richardson, a deaf girl with a pink bicycle, a purple jacket, and the knowledge that community wasn't about where you came from or how you communicated. It was about choosing to stop when someone needed help. It was about handing someone a helmet and teaching them to ride proud. And sometimes, if you were lucky, it was about finding family. In the most unexpected places, like a group of motorcycle riders who understood that protecting one bullied kid mattered more than their fearsome reputation. Maya signed to her reflection in the window, to Sarah's memory, to her grandmother's spirit. I'm riding proud. For both of you. Outside, the rain fell softly on Jean's legacy, washing it clean for tomorrow's journey. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.